work within the right concept, right? Because what's happened is, and I'm sure you teach this all the time too, right? Is that banks love for you to keep your money there forever, right? If you start thinking more like how a bank works or how real investors work, they don't worry about compound interest as much. They're worried about how do I create acceleration with this money? How do I build it and grow it in a way that creates actual income, real cash flow, right? And so compound interest can work. And definitely, I know in the infinite banking world, it works great because that's a critical component to making it work where you double dip on your real estate investments and everything else that you're doing with it. But it's overrated from the financial advising perspective, right? Because they're using it as a way to say, lock up your money, don't touch it, don't look at it, just leave it there forever.
That's
and then
what I was
someday there might just be enough, right? And I get it because I taught that, just like you, right? I did that for 4 years as the mainstream financial advisor. I was selling mutual funds. I said, don't buy like whole life insurance or any of those kind of things because those things suck. Stock market's the way to go, right? So I was all stock market, even though I started right during Y2K, like right after 9/11 happened is when I became a financial advisor. So perfect timing, right?
Me too. Holy crap. We started the exact same time.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, I got to see the ins and outs. Maybe like you, I started to run real numbers because they always taught me 10 or 12% a year compounding, right, is what you're going to earn in the market. But when I looked at the real rate of return, because the numbers didn't quite add up, when I started looking at actual yield versus average returns, right, especially when you have those negatives, I realized, wait a minute. And if you look right now, the S&P 500 the last 30 years is right about 7.5%, even though we're at an all-time high right now, So if that's 7.5%, that's not 10 or 12. Try putting the numbers you've been saving based on what your financial planner told you to do, and then put in 7.5% instead. Oh, no, you can't put in 7.5. Sorry, you got to take out fees. So maybe you're at 6.5%, right? Before you pay taxes, So you're lucky to get maybe 6% a year on your money. And you start to put that in, you start to realize, wait a minute. And if I have that plus inflation, which is not 2%, because when I ran numbers as a financial advisor, 2% wasn't enough, right? I did 2% because it made me look better. It made my plan look better, but it was horrible because if I put in 4%, it was depressing, right? And the real rate of return, the real inflation rate's been closer to more like 5+%, right?
Yeah, if you factor out the things that they remove to get to that 3.2 average inflation rate, but they take out food, they take out energy. Like, come on, folks. Like, how are you going to take that out? Oh, well, we don't want to scare people.
Yeah, just stop driving, stop eating. You'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. Ride a bike.
Yeah. So when I put
rice and beans.
Yeah. So if you put in 5% inflation, you put in 6% rate of return on the market, you'll find out if you want a $60,000 a year lifestyle in 20 years, right? You want to retire in 20 years at a $60,000 a year lifestyle, which is not great. You got to save about $8,300 a month right now. That's over $100,000 a year. You got to start saving. So you got to save over $100,000 a year to live on $60,000 a year. That seems ridiculous.
Sounds like a great plan.
I know. It's awesome.
But you did that for 4 years. I did it for 16 long years. And it's just unbelievable. Yeah. That whole time we had and I always do this, we had our rosy colored glasses on as the Mr. Big advisors. Notice it's funny too. I didn't know if you were going to show up in a suit, we're in t-shirts now and we're the money guys. So it's just funny how the dynamic changes because back then we had to have the blue, gray, or black suit on. God forbid you wore a different color suit than that. And, you always had to just follow the protocol and do what we were taught to do, which was believe in an average rate of return, which really is exactly what you just described. I do a little thing where I'd show $100 and then we make you 100%, then we lose you 50, make you 100, lose you 50, and then what do you get? Anyway, average rate of return 25%. You made nothing.
Nothing. That's right.
But that's the Kool-Aid we drank, and I drank it for a lot longer than you did because it's just what I knew, and what I knew.